Chapter 1201. Anthony on Tour, Shakedown. When the noise finally died down, Isaac pulled his hands from over his ears and slowly, very slowly, opened his eyes. The first thing he felt was relief that the roof hadn't collapsed on top of him. A good start. Next came the relief that his legs hadn't fallen off or been crushed, they were simply numb from the incessant shaking of the floor. Winds all around. Isaac was beginning to hold out hope that his mustache hadn't fallen straight off his face from the stress, but he deliberately didn't reach up to check. He wasn't ready to find out his suspicions were correct after all. Soundly convinced that he was sans mustache in one sound piece, he began to turn his attention to everyone else. Hello, Ant Cavalry, sound off. He got a few muffled calls, some groans and a few swear words for his efforts. The air was thick with dust and he could barely see 10 meters in front of himself. There must have been a collapse somewhere in the chamber to kick up all this mess. He could only hope nobody not covered in a second skin of minerals had been caught underneath. Confident he wouldn't get much more out of his human squad mates, he turned to pheromones and called out again. Ant Cavalry, who can smell this? How are you, Captain Isaac? Doing well over here. That was something interesting, wasn't it? Finished napping, then, ready to get to work. Anyone else want some biscuits and tea when we get back to the ship? Stop slacking, Captain. Slacking. What in the name of his mam's buttered scones were they on about? He made his way toward them and found the ants had already collected their less active riders and deposited them in a line of sorry-looking sods. Covered in dust and clearly shaken, they shivered, moaned and stared blankly straight ahead, ignoring everything happening around them. Isaac had seen it before, many times. Shock. They were rattled by what had just happened. And why wouldn't they be? The mountain had been rattled, so it was only fair the mortals were too. One by one, he moved down the line, calling names softly, placing a hand on their faces, shaking hands. Most were able to acknowledge him, some were able to get up and assist with a little encouragement. Can we get a mage to clear this dust? He asked one of the ants. It's as thick as me mam's porridge, even if it tastes better. I can't see a thing. Oh, I think so. Most of them are clearing out the rock, but I'm sure someone can spare a little mana. The ant scuttled off while Isaac wondered just what she'd meant when she said they were clearing out the rock. A minute later, he no longer had to wonder. In one fell swoop, the dust was blown away, revealing the true extent of the devastation. Luckily, the area occupied by the trade mission was undamaged. The Brathian merchants were there, along with Iran and her family. The ants were also safe, though most of them had relocated to where the problem lay. The roof had collapsed, on the side of the room which led to the exit. Ants were crawling all over the rubble now, doing their best to clear a pathway. Isaac saw immediately what the problem was. With so few ants allowed inside, most of those who had entered were carvers who specialized in making things, and the soldiers who were part of the cavalry. Precious few mages had entered, so a lot of the work was being done manually. With a sigh, Isaac headed over to see what he could do to help. The ants met his offer with clear skepticism. You could use your hands to shift some rock, I suppose. One offered, doubtfully. Can you even move rock with those? They aren't anything like mandibles. Yes, I can move rock, he snapped, reaching down to pick up a chunk of stone. Naturally, he picked up one a bit larger than he probably should have, and instantly regretted it. However, he couldn't put it down now, so he grit his teeth and began lumbering away with it. See, he squeezed out. Don't underestimate the power of the opposable digit. We have those too, one of the carvers said smugly, holding up one of her front legs and snipping her little claws together. He'd known that, but it wasn't really something he kept in the forefront of his mind. The ants win this round. Anyone know what happened? He asked. The eldest, a chorus of them replied, seemingly unbothered. They were most likely correct. Isaac had been around Anthony long enough to know that, but he'd hoped for something more specific. Any idea what the eldest did? He pressed. I'd love to have a little more knowledge about why this mountain decided to shake itself down. Someone probably annoyed them, one of the ants responded. They probably did something to protect the colony and nearly died in the process. So brave. I wish it was me. Shish. Isaac could only shrug his shoulders in resignation. No matter what Anthony did, they trusted it was the right thing to have done. A little healthy skepticism wouldn't be such a bad thing for these ants, in his view. The excavation effort was interrupted shortly thereafter by a roar that echoed off the chamber walls, as a massive Golgari strode back through the entrance. Uran Thoris, you have some explaining to do. It was the silver-coated warrior who had welcomed them, and he was steaming mad. However, his anger paled in comparison to that of Thoris. She was incandescent with rage. I have some explaining to do. The entire noble circle of this mountain needs to come down here and explain why there shouldn't be an immediate trade embargo placed on this damned city. How dare you? Watch your tone. Well, this was off to a good start. Chapter 1202. Anthony on tour, aggressive diplomacy. Isaac's ma'am had some lungs on her, even towards the end. The neighbors were almost as familiar with her voice as he was, since it sounded like she was yelling from within their own houses. However, he had to give Thoris some credit. She might have his dear departed mother beaten. We came in good faith, under treaty. She bellowed so loudly, the Golgari warrior actually flinched. She had lungs on her like an ant-built industrial smelter. If she got any louder, the whole place was going to come down on their heads, since it wasn't exactly structurally stable at the moment. The Golgari tried to get a word in edgeways, but she wasn't having it. This base treachery is an insult to the entire Brathian trade alliance. We have committed no treachery. The warrior spluttered. It is you who have brought devastation and destruction to our home. You think I haven't been in communication with my people outside? How dare you deny involvement after attempting to drop a mountain on my fleet? That was simply a natural fracturing of the rock. Isaac almost winced for the man. It sounded weak, even to his ears. True to form, the Iran pounced, glaring at her opponent like a snake would a shivering rodent. She even lowered her volume, which was a blessing to all with ears nearby. The ants hadn't been bothered one bit. If you seriously think anyone is going to believe that, then your head is full of rocks, not just covered in them. We will not be held responsible for the mistakes and poor skills of a few lowly shapers. Your shapers are the finest earth and stone mages on the entire damned planet. Whoever decided this was a good idea, and whoever thought you could escape the consequences with such a pathetic excuse, needs to have their brains bashed out with a bat. At least that way, the brain matter could be fed to a dog, and provide something useful. After all the destruction caused by the monster you brought, you then think we will stand for these insults? We demand compensation from the Brathian island conglomerate for the damage. Iran had let him build up a head of steam, and Isaac had expected her to cut off the warrior at the knees, but with the demand for compensation, all the anger seemed to evaporate out of her in an instant. She went ice cold, her eyes as hard as diamonds, even her scales seemed to tighten around her. The Golgari felt it, how could they not? Every Brathian had the same response to his demand for payment, every one of them becoming an icy pillar of cold fury. Thoris drew herself up to her full height, almost half that of the imposing warrior before her, but she didn't appear small in the slightest. You will hear from our lawyers. She dropped those words as if dropping an artillery-grade fireball, then turned on her heel and began to stride out. Not knowing what to do, Isaac ordered his people to follow in her wake, since all the Brathians were already doing so. Are we just going to leave the goods behind? He whispered to Iran when he caught up with her. Much of it is wrecked, and I don't want us to carry anything that has been polluted by the stupidity that seems to infest this place, she replied, her lip curled in disgust. Who gave you permission to leave? The warrior yelled, visibly fuming. I will not be detained by the likes of you, Iran spat back over her shoulder. Either have the noble triad which ordered this idiocy show me their faces, or let me leave. I will take my fleet to our next destination and trouble your people no longer. Isaac hoped she never found out who those people were, given the look in her eye. If she did, he imagined they would be living in a wooden box before long, everything they touched turned against them by the might of the Brathian trade empire. Told you the eldest would take care of it, his partner, Cavalant, told him cheerfully. The eldest almost got us all killed, he pointed out, knowing it was pointless to bother, but somehow unable to help himself. That's weird. I'm not dead. Are you dead, Isaac? Quote. No. So nobody is dead, and the fleet has been saved. Seems like my point of view is gaining strength over yours, wouldn't you say? He couldn't help himself, he had to keep going. Have you ever spoken to the eldest, Cavalant? Me? Of course not. I wouldn't trouble them. I have. Don't rub it in. And I find it hard to detect this deep wisdom you seem to imbue them with. Well, that's unsurprising, Cavalant laughed. What do you mean? He asked. Wouldn't you need to possess deep wisdom, in order to find it in others? You couldn't find your own left hand if I didn't point it out to you. He tried. He honestly couldn't say why, but he did try. Only when they reached the edge of the mountain and began to descend on platforms of air did Isaac finally get a sense for the true scale of what that mad ant had done. The tunnel that had led down to the dock had been sheared away, and so had huge chunks of the mountain face. As if a giant had reached out a hand and scooped away billions of tons of stone, the mountain was just broken. Cracks and fissures big enough to fit his home village inside ran all along the face of it. No wonder it had felt like the entire thing was falling apart. For the first time, he felt a chill when considering the power of that single ant. Anthony had managed to do this. It was absurd, it was madness, it was too much. Too much power, and he would only get stronger from here. That was a good thing, he comforted himself, the colony would be safer. Which meant he, Isaac, and all of his friends and comrades would be safer too, under the umbrella of such a creature. Yet, he couldn't help but admit to himself, he was beginning to see why the Legion feared what he would become if given the chance. With troubled thoughts filling his head, he floated down toward the fleet. Chapter 1203, Anthony on Tour, Orinoco Flow. Landing in the water wasn't my most graceful landing, I'm going to own up to that straight away. I'd love to tell you that I masterfully manipulated the sparkling waters of the lake using my mana, gliding to my ship upon a wave shaped like a herd of horses. Instead, I plummeted down and smacked face first into the waves. It felt like I ran straight into a rock wall. Unpleasant to say the least. But that wasn't the worst of it. Not even remotely. I was pretty much directly underneath the gravity bomb when it terminated. Great stuff, still very pleased that I wasn't consumed whole by the void of death. Great stuff. However, other things were consumed by the void of death. A lot of things. Well, mostly rock, but lots of it. Lots and lots. And, as we all know, the gravity bomb does what a good black hole should, sucks things inside and crushes them into one nice little ball. So what fell out of the sky right behind me? You betcha. An extremely hot, extremely dense ball of super rock. Not long after I hit the water, I sensed the damn thing coming and started to frantically paddle with my legs, not that it got me far, and a few seconds later. Let's just say there was quite the splash. When the waves settled, which took a while, the Brathians were eventually able to fish me out and dump me back onto the ship, which is where I now find myself. Basically, I'm just flopping on the deck, not moving, letting myself slowly recover from the excitement of the day. It's almost refreshing, in a weird way, to find myself this drained. It's been a while since I was genuinely tired, physically, mentally and emotionally. There are still 10,000 ants around, so it'll go away eventually, even if I don't sleep, but for now, I am straight up exhausted. A moment of weakness, which is when Odin decides to pounce at me. Claw arms extended, he leaps through the air, heading straight for my most vulnerable point, my eye. I can't even move, I just watch him come, floating through air, almost in slow motion, blade arms extended, a twisted glee burning in his demon eyes. Actually it's taking a long time for him to get me. Is he actually using some slow motion ability? He's still floating toward me. I scratch my back with my antennae, then reach one out to poke him. He's still moving forward just really slowly. Oh, I know what's going on. I assume this is one of you, Protectant. Wrapped him up in air or something. That's right, she says, popping into existence next to me. She glares up at the demon, who seems to have only now realized something is wrong and begun wriggling in the air. I knew this one was up to something. Ah, he's harmless, and I think Sarah has taken a liking to him. I may be wrong on that front, but I'm pretty sure this wasn't a serious attempt on me. I mean, it's ridiculous. He's so tiny. I think you should take threats to your safety a little more seriously, eldest. Especially in the light of recent events. Whoa, that's a lot more passion than I normally see from the reserved little ant. Well, technically speaking, I almost never see her, but I still get will from them flowing into the vestibule. Clearly, she's a bit mad about the whole, almost getting eaten by my own spell, thing. Which is fair. For sure, I am going to be way more careful about throwing out that particular spell in future. To be fair, though, I've not fired it off at full strength before, so I didn't know how bad it was going to be. I try to defend myself a little. I was reckless, sure, but not that reckless. Protectant doesn't seem convinced. You've come closer to death from that spell than anything else, multiple times, since we joined you. Almost every time you use it at anything remotely close to full power, you are nearly dragged in. Might I suggest, eldest, that you not use it in situations when you are going to nearly destroy yourself? That seems reasonable. I will definitely, maybe, think about not doing that. You're going to keep doing it, aren't you? Not on purpose. This was an emergency situation. It's not like I'm trying to get myself flattened. I look up at Odin. He's now floated over my head and is in real danger of going over the edge of the ship. Are you guys going to stop floating him at some point? How are you even doing that? It's a method we were working on to float you away from dangerous situations. It's quite complicated. Are you sure you want the details? Probably not. You abandoned the method because I got too heavy. Yes, we abandoned the idea for sure. Good. Now put the silly demon down. It takes another hour for Iran, the ants and Isaac to get back aboard the fleet. I'm not sure exactly what went down inside, but Iran is still fuming when she gets aboard, visibly steaming. When I try to ask her about it, she throws up her hands and storms off, growling something about lawyers. I didn't even know they had lawyers on this planet. And people are scared of monsters. Weird. What's the plan, Marsban? After all this excitement, I assume we aren't going to stick around. No, it's time to sail away. Sail away, he confirms. We've got one major and one minor stop to go. Which one's the big one? Silver City, he tells me. I hope to goodness they aren't as dumb as the Golgari. They shouldn't be. I'm not filled with confidence. Time to sail the heck out of here. Chapter 1204. Anthony on tour, Bird Brains. The next stop on our trade mission is the Wandering Isle, one of the largest of the floating islands within the fourth stratum. Supposedly, a mix of people live there, but predominantly it is home to a rare race that I've not yet run into. Nor have any of the colony, as far as I'm aware. It's always nice to meet new folks. Not folks. However, Iran is quick to throw a dampener on my burgeoning curiosity. Don't get your expectations up, she warns me. The leader of our expedition is clearly feeling the weight of her responsibilities right now. What transpired with the Golgari at Grihome is an unmitigated diplomatic disaster for everyone involved, from what I can gather, listening in on mental communications I probably shouldn't. The Brathian Island conglomerate is absolutely incensed, the satrap is spitting fish chips and that outrage is spreading to the other conglomerates as well. I don't have perfect information, given that I can't understand any of the spoken conversations and much of the mental ones slip past me, but both sides have brought out the big guns. Legal experts and top negotiators are galloping into battle, ready to yell, scream, argue and generally word fight over who owes who broke their legal obligations and by how much. Given that the Brathians are who they are, I have no doubt the Empire of Stone will be forking over a rather sizable amount of compensation. Marsban said the same thing, I note. Are these people really so problematic? What's their deal, anyway? This is one of the rare opportunities that Iran has allowed her daughter up onto the deck with us. The young girl appears to be 12ish, or something like that, judging by her relative height compared to the other Brathians on board. But it's getting harder and harder for me to make these judgments now. One glance and I can tell you what tier an ant is, no matter the caste, but these humanoids. Nope, not anymore. Piris, the little girl, is only too happy to be roped into our conversation, a chance to get close to the big monster and poke at my carapace. Piris, darling, can you come over here and explain to Anthony what the Magpie are like? As soon as the word leaves her mother's mind and drops into hers, the little girl pulls a face. I may not have muscles on the outside anymore, but I remember that expression. They're noisy, she says, and rude. They make fun of everyone who doesn't have wings and they love picking fights. They have wings? ? Piris rolls her eyes. They'll never let you forget about it. It's what they're most proud of. So these are some sort of winged humanoid. Are they a branch of the folk? Iran cuts back in to give me the details. No, the Magpie are an old race, one of the originals along with humans, Golgari and Karmado. There just aren't that many of them for a variety of reasons. Dad says they never stop biting off more than they can chew, so they keep choking to death, Piris tells me, nodding sagely as she dispenses the wisdom of her wealthy father. She puffs up, placing her hands on an imaginary belly and lowering her voice to imitate the satrap. You'd think they'd learn after watching someone else do it, but it only makes them worse. No profit in such foolishness, no profit at all. But what do they look like? Beaks. Fully feathered, partially feathered, ooh, no feathers and bat wings. Are they like fruit bats? No, vampire bats. They drink the blood of their enemies and use echolocation to navigate. Iran just shakes her head. You'll see soon enough. In the end, it takes a few days of extremely fast sailing, with our friendly neighborhood legionaries in tow, for us to meet up with the Wandering Isle. Far overhead, we see it coming from a long way away. As advertised, the island is big, much bigger than something floating in the air should probably be. How the heck these things get away with defying gravity to the extent they do, I have no idea, but apparently it's a thing that is rather common on this level of the dungeon. As we've sailed around, I've seen dozens of them. Some monster-infested, some not, almost all of them streaming an endless supply of water running off their edge. Apparently, the Wandering Isle has several rivers running off the edge, creating a dazzling spray underneath that trails in its wake. Now, of course, the ships can't fly up to the island, so we are going to have to exit our vessels and rise up on force platforms, along with the goods we seek to trade. It takes a while to get it all sorted, but naturally I'm picked to go on one of the first platforms, along with the Brathian leadership. As always, a view of the fort from any level of elevation is simply breathtaking, filled with light and color. I take my time enjoying the view as I sprawl on the platform, hoping the mages are able to manage my bulk without burning out. Ah, here they come, Iran sighs to me. What? Who? The Magpie. Some sort of welcoming committee. No, well, sort of. They always do this. Can't seem to help themselves. Focusing upward, I can see what she's talking about. Figures have launched themselves from the edge of the island and spread broad, magnificent wings, catching the air and gliding down toward us in lazy circles. When they get close enough, I get my first glimpse of these ancient and proud people. Now, as I stated earlier, judging any aspect of the small and fleshy people around me has become increasingly difficult as time goes on. This goes doubly so when speaking for the aesthetics of said small and squishy things. However, the Magpie appear to be quite stunning. Human-like, yet not quite. They are sleek, graceful, almost angelic. Radiant, golden skin, large, expressive eyes, with long limbs and flawless musculature, all capped off by the magnificent wings that sprout from their backs. Given that they don't have a carapace, they appear to have done all right for themselves, these Magpie. Then they draw a little closer, and open their mouths. Now, normally it wouldn't matter what they said, since I wouldn't understand it anyway, but some thoughtful individual decides to pass it all on to me via mind construct, so I experience the full feeling of the Magpie welcome. It goes something like this. Hey, what I think you're doin', air? Floatin', up to our island, EY. No wings, EY. Flamin' ground-bound chumps, EY. What are you lookin' at, mate? Think you're all special, lookin' in every direction at once, you insect bug thing. Come up, air, and I'll show you who's special, mate. You drongos think you're gonna be welcome up on our island. You better think again, EY. They're just so annoying. Chapter 1205, Anthony on tour, don't rise. So now I understand why I was warned about these people. They suck. It takes us over an hour to rise all the way up to the island, moving at a nice, controlled pace, and the Magpie swoop around yelling at us the entire time. When one of them got tired and flew back up, another one would just come down. They were determined to ensure we were subject to a constant strain of threats, insults, and repeated dares to come up, air. How these people manage to survive at all is a miracle. Do the Karmado put up with this level of nonsense? The Golgari, the Legion, although they aren't monsters, far from it, they were here before the rending took place, before there was mana on the surface. So I suppose the Legion doesn't care about them one way or the other. We arrive on the island itself, to be greeted by more of the preening Magpie, while others continue to fly overhead haranguing us. Iran steps forward to speak for us, and again, the Brathian dungeon seer continues to provide a running translation. Though I wish they wouldn't. As agreed in our discussions some weeks ago, we are here as part of our trade mission to the mightiest and most flourishing trade hubs of the stratum, Iran declares. I know for a fact we're pretty much only here because it's on the way to the Silver City. Nevertheless, I understand the urge to butter these people up. The Magpie seem difficult to get along with, to say the least. The representative of the Wandering Isle leadership who came to greet us seems to be fairly typical of her people, from what I've seen so far. They don't wear a lot of clothing, covering the essentials, basically, and she seems annoyed to be here, looking down on all of us. We welcome you to our isle, she says, sarcastically, glaring. I hope you can get your business done and get the heck out of here, quick. For some reason, she turns to glare at me. You think you're all that? All big and stuff. You aren't tough. What the heck? Anthony is here as a representative of his people, who have brought many wonderful and shiny things for you to purchase, Iran attempts to soothe her. Only one word seems to catch her attention. Shiny. Her head snaps around and her eyes narrow. How shiny are we talkin'? If you're pullin' me leg, I'm gonna punch ya right in the nose. There's a chorus of, ay. From the other magpie, I turn to the mage translating for me. Is it really necessary to give me all the background insults? If I have to listen to it, then so do you, she replies placidly. Yeesh. Chests puffed out and strutting around us, the magpie lead us toward the nearest settlement, a border town called Macau, which is where imports and exports are handled, apparently. Every now and again, a new magpie flies overhead, challenging us all to a fight and then asking who we are and what we're doing here. Eventually, our guides tell them we are here to trade and are on our way to Macas. When we arrive outside the town, we are greeted by the head of the local trading guild, who is, mercifully, a human. He bows low and respectfully toward Iran as she draws near, greeting her with a wide smile, which she returns. Loan, it's lovely to see you again. You are too kind, Iran. How is your esteemed husband, the great satrap Yumizan? He is well, thank you for asking. And is that little Piris I see? Such grace and beauty. Clearly, she takes after her mother. The little girl giggles and smiles. What are you laughing at, EY? A nearby magpie squawks. EYY, ya little midget. Thankfully, nobody pays him any mind and he slowly depuffs before being distracted by something else. After the pleasantries are exchanged, Iran gets down to business working out the trade arrangements, when and where the colony will set up their temporary market and for how long. When it's all said and done, I sneak a mind bridge over to the unbelievably polite man, Loan, who greeted us, just to ask a few questions. Hey, it's me, the giant ant in front of you, nice to meet you. His eyes widen slightly as he turns toward me. Nice to meet you too, he says, warmly. I hope you and your people have a pleasant stay here on the Wandering Isle. That's what I wanted to ask you. How the heck do you live here? Loan smiles gently. I assume you are referring to the magpie. No, I was talking about the weather. Yes, the magpie. They aren't so bad when you get used to them, he assures me. Though it does help to cultivate a certain, placid, frame of mind. Two mapki crash to the ground between the two of us, tangled around each other as they engage in a furious fistfight. Loan doesn't even blink. Your stay among us will be regrettably short, but I will lead you to the area designated for your people to rest. I hope you will find it accommodating. This man is a saint. We are led to an open clearing where the temporary market will be established, and begin to settle in. For my part, that means more flopping into the dirt and letting everyone else be busy around me. Brathian tents start going up and the newly arrived ants begin putting together their stalls and displays. We're finally here at Macca's, is there anything good to eat? Piris complains. Not really, Marsban tells her. It's not easy for them to grow crops up here on the island. There just isn't enough land. What do they usually eat? I ask, curious. Fish, he tells me. The magpie are excellent fishermen and women, able to fly down, catch a surprising amount of them, then fly back up. Their endurance in the air is truly remarkable. Huh, nice to know they have some good points. Are there many magpie settlements on the surface? I ask. They've been here from the beginning, so there must be, right? There are, Iran tells me, though usually in areas others don't want to live, high up in the mountains, for example. And that's not just because other people don't like them, they don't like other people either. It works out best for everyone. In terms of the dungeon, there are a few large settlements in the third, but the bulk of them live in the fourth, on this island, a few other floating isles, and in settlements high above, closer to the roof above us. That's high. Considering how they feel about outsiders, I'm surprised they even let us into trade. What sorts of things do they like? Iran smiles. They are surprisingly curious as a people and will look at just about anything. They love decorative items, not for themselves, but for their homes. Food is popular, for obvious reasons, as there is much they can't make for themselves. I expect your ant-crafted fabrics will do extremely well. Why, they don't appear to wear much. For their nests. Chapter 1206. Anthony on tour, Peace in the Air. There aren't many scholars who take the time to learn about the unique culture and properties of the magpie people, leading them to dramatically underestimate their strengths. It is a source of eternal frustration to me, as a magpie studies professor, that my colleagues seem to think the only trait of these interesting and enduring people they need to understand is that they are aggressive. Yes, they are aggressive, yes, they famously lack what some would consider social graces, but that is merely the surface. As a people, the magpie are fiercely loyal, protective of their families and forgiving, under the right circumstances. Due to their irascible nature, they are among the finest pugilists in the world, fighting almost exclusively with their fists. I've seen them shatter the skulls of tier 5 fish monsters in a single blow, even through meters of water. If one is able to win their trust and friendship, the Magpie are a wonderful people, full of laughter, camaraderie and joy. However, it is still necessary to fight with them. Excerpt from The People of Light, by Propensia. Oi, this is a good cup of right air. Ah yeah, lemme have a taste. Get your own, like that, is it? Come up here and say that. Maybe I will, then. On they're gone. Another pair fly up to engage in what I'm coming to understand is more like a fun pastime for the Magpie rather than a serious fight. They just seem to love smashing the heck out of each other, and for whatever reason, they don't seem to get hurt much. Perhaps they're just much tougher than they look. After watching the market unfold and listening to these people interact, I've come to understand exactly what is going on here. I was confused at first, because they don't have fur, waste energy speaking and are less prone to thumbs-ups, but the Magpie are basically all just shiny, feather-winged versions of Tiny. Would the dumb ape lay fists into everyone and everything he could if I let him? Absolutely. It's not like he's malicious, he just enjoys it, and he assumes everyone else does as well. I get the feeling the bad attitudes and rudeness displayed by the Magpie are due to them wanting to skip as much of the unnecessary stuff as quickly as possible and get to the punching. Someone put the billy on. This tea is choice. Yeah, better than my tea. Of course it is, you melter. On they're gone. They really seem to like the tea. That's not the only thing which has grabbed their attention. As before with the Carmado, the small amount of jewelry and other shiny knickknacks are popular with the winged ones, causing many a brawl. What I find truly interesting are the other inhabitants of the Wandering Isle. Humans, Golgari, folk, even a Carmado with Setsula attendants, everyone seems welcome here. The other thing to note is that, one and all, they appear to have extraordinary levels of patience. They just seem to step around whenever brawling bird brains fall out of the sky, or smile and nod politely whenever someone tries to pick a fight with them. It almost seems magical. I wish I could exhibit that level of tolerance, because, for whatever reason, a group of Magpie have decided that they'll get a rise out of me no matter what. Big Bug sittin' there looking all sad on the ground. Got no wings, EY. Come on, mate, come up here and look at me like that through ya flamin' multifocal lenses. And so on, and so on. No matter how long I sit here, unresponsive, in the center of this impromptu market, they just don't seem to run out of gas. Or insults. Finally, I can't take it anymore. The honor of the colony is being impugned here. It's not that I'm sick of these winged loudmouths slinging mug at me, it's that proper respect isn't being shown to my ant brethren. It's time to show these birds who's the real boss of the air. But how? I have two main methods of approach here. I could use a gravity well to drag them all down to the ground, or use one to lift me up into the air, challenging them in their own space. Or why not both? Gway. With an evil chuckle, I begin to draw out gravity mana from my gland, weaving it deftly and carefully, masking my work as much as possible. They won't know what hit them. Are you doing something, Anthony? Damn it, it's the Brathian mage, the dungeon seer Alevis. She's watching me like a hawk at the moment. Me? Of course not. Why would you suspect something like that? Because I thought I felt a stirring of mana. You aren't going to do something to the Magpie, are you? Why would you ever suspect me of yes I was. I'm getting really annoyed and was going to punish them for their hubris. I'm not even passing on their insults anymore. They found one of their own mages to make sure I got the message. Damn them, she sighs, then gives me a firm poke in the side. Remember what just happened at Greystone? We don't want a repeat incident, do we? You need to keep your fancy mana to yourself and just let this event end peacefully. I agree, eldest, a whisper of pheromones from protectant brushes against my antennae. We would appreciate it if you didn't put an even larger target on your back. But, fine. Reluctantly, I let the mana go, and Alevis nods, pleased. Thank you for your cooperation. I know it can be difficult here, but a little patience is all. You fishy Brathians only ever think about money. Too scared to get involved in a real fight. That's required. Oi, mage down there. Too weak to fight, are ya? Too yellow are ya? You melt. I hear your satrap is as fat as a sea cow. Fatter. Ya mongrel. Oi. You hear us down there? Ears blocked with scales. All of his eyes begin to narrow and I quietly begin to shape my gravity mana again. Chapter 1207. Anthony on tour, the switch from light to dark. Gway hey. Gway hey. Muahahahahahahaha. Oi, think you can pin us to the ground? Let me up and I'll knock the snot out of ya. That's not flying. That's floating at best. When I get off the ground, I'm gonna shirt front ya. Even if you can't wear a shirt. Yes. Grovel before me, you insignificant pigeons. Who's laughing now? Who is soaring majestically through the air now? It's me. I'm doing that. The gravity well pulses with power, holding my bulk aloft while pressing the annoying, irritating magpie down into the ground where I can mock them at my leisure. Still chirping are you, little birdie? I gloat, reaching down with one leg to poke a particularly persistent specimen on the cheek. Shouldn't you be trying to work out how to get off the ground rather than let your mouth write checks your fists can't cash? I'll show you a check, mate. I'll knock your castle down. I'm nobody's pawn. Well, come along then. I'm waiting. I hover above as the magpie makes a valiant effort to rise, managing to force himself up onto his hands and knees before I up the power and squash him down again. Oh, so close. Gway hey. I'll leave you there for a while and come back later to check on your progress. It fills me with such glee to see them struggling to get off the ground. How many times have they insulted my proud insect form for lacking wings since I arrived? 436. Do they even know what they're talking to? I'm an ant, a descendant of the wasp. You really think there aren't any flying ants? But I'm something different, something new. I don't even need them. I wiggle my antennae with glee as I float in glorious circles above the market. Interestingly, the non-magpie clientele continue about their shopping, speaking with the Brathian merchants, asking questions of the ant carvers and generally enjoying themselves. I get the strong impression that visitors getting into strenuous disagreements with the bird brains isn't that rare an event. These people have probably learned to tolerate it just as they have every other eccentricity of the feathered fiends they share the island with. Well, I myself have certainly not reached such a point of zen, so I continue to vent my frustrations upon the writhing, cursing Mapgay. You were so proud of your wings a minute ago. Come on, use them. Fly. You can fly, can't you? I thought you were great at flying. Wasn't being on the ground, let me think about how you put it, the place where dung creatures wallow. That's what you said, isn't it? Are you a dung creature? Enjoying your wallowing? You seem to be, from all the energetic wriggling you're doing. Yes, get angry. This is my vengeance. This is my wrath. Are you done up there? Thoris asks me. Muahahahaha. No, I'm only getting started. When tears of frustration are rolling down their faces, when they cry out to their mothers and beg forgiveness, maybe I'll let them up. Is he often like this? She asks, including another in the mind bridge. It does happen on occasion, Cobalt admits. It's quite rare, but it does happen. Eldest, you're disrupting the market. We need to trade with these people. That's the whole reason we came here. The only things they've been trading with us are insults. I'm only giving back to them what they so graciously gave us. One magpie has almost managed to stand, better put a stop to that. Back to the ground with you. Unless you plan to stay here and hold them down forever, you're going to have to let them go at some point. And if you keep doing it, more of them will come. More of them will kiss the mud. Do you really want to try and hold down 10,000 of them? Think of the noise in your head, if nothing else. That's true. Even though I've pinned these insult-swinging flappers into the dirt, they haven't let up. Understandably, their insult swinging has only become more vigorous. The main difference is that I can freely throw their words back in their faces, laughing with great glee all the way. It's worth it. I haven't come out in so long. I'm not going back yet. Just give me a few minutes. I'll have had my fill by then. Looks like you get to fly again in a few minutes, you rats. Enjoy your last moments grinding your faces into the mud, and then you can fly, knowing you only get to fly because I let you. Muahahahaha. I'll let you taste my fist, mate. Big talk from an insect. You can't even make a fist. I'll give you a fair dinkum face punching for this. Oi, you're gonna regret this, Kaba. You'll be crying out of every lens by the time I'm done. Oh, is that right? If you're all that, then come up here and show me right now. Come on, come Uun, what's the matter? I'm waiting, let me up already. You mug, not even your mother could love that face. Hey, my mother is very proud of me. Oh, we got a mum's boy here. If you ever want to fly again, you better not talk about my mother. Fine, we respect mums. Agreed, mums are off limits. How do we feel about dads? Well, that's easy enough for me. Don't have one, I'm a monster. I was born from the queen, no need for a dad. Makes sense. No dad, EY. To be expected, I suppose. Are we allowed up now? Fine. I don't release the gravity well, but I undo the pressure it exerts on them. I remain floating in the sky as the fluffy fools flap their powerful wings and return to the sky around me. Oh ho 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 ho. Time to put up or shoot up, mate. Hope you're ready for a major beatdown there, champ. Time to pray to a mantis, or whatever counts as a god for bugs, Kaba. From 4 directions, 4 magpie fly in with dazzling speed, their fists blazing with powerful light as they prepare to unleash their fearsome skills. Naturally, the well catches them as they draw too close, sending them tumbling back to the ground. I let you go, but I didn't turn it off. Think you can hit me? Not in a million years. Muahahahahaha. The Dark One will not sleep just yet. Chapter 1208. Anthony on tour, Journey to the Silver City. We hate you. Don't come back. You're hurting my feelings. Why don't you fly over here next to me and say that? Get stuffed. In your dreams, mate. Turn off your lousy magic and then talk smack, EY. Hey, why don't you come over here and make me? Huh, need me to go easy on you? Too weak for the real stuff. Get off our island. Yeah, you bleed and cheat. Bah, all of you can bite my carapace. Your mums are all classy ladies, but you're rubbish. To a chorus of mentally projected hells and insults, I float down and away from the wandering isle. Some of the magpie follow, unwilling to let us go without getting the last word in. I take note of how they keep their distance from me, though, unwilling to be caught up in the gravity well. Gway hey hey hey, it's taken a lot of mana to maintain it for this long, but it's been worth it. Looking at the suffering expressions of their faces every time they try to fly up and punch me has been a joy, bringing light to my dark, dark heart. Are you still going with them? The mage, Alevis asks me. Of course, as long as they're willing to serve it up, they're going to get it back. There will never come a time they are unwilling to serve it up. They're the magpie. They've been doing this for thousands and thousands of years. Which is why they're so good at being annoying, I suppose. If there's a skill for irritating strangers, they must have it all the way to rank 10. I don't see anything wrong with matching their energy. They want to be discourteous, rude and confrontational. Fine, I will do the same to them. You don't find it childish? No, she looks at me. I look back at her. And in many other directions. How old are you, again? Not that old, why do you ask? No reason. If I were to add up my time as a human and my time as an ant, I guess my age would be what? 16-ish. Less. Honestly, it's hard to remember how old I was when I died, and it's difficult to keep track of time as an ant. It's not like we hang calendars all over the place, or carry pocket watches. Although, I'm told that some ants have taken an interest in the clockmaking arts. So it probably won't be long until we do carry them around. As we slowly descend, everyone else on the force platform, me lowering myself gracefully with my gravity well, I get a good look at the Legion fleet. Interestingly, they didn't seem to bother us all that much while we dealt with the Wandering Isle. From what I know, only a few of them came up, not Morelia, sadly, and other than observing, they pretty much left us alone. Now, as we descend, I wonder if they intend to take pot shots at us, like they did when I was falling, but no. The massed fleet of hulking, armored warships just sits, idly, with many a soldier and officer watching us. Watching me. It's creepy. Go look at something else. If they were admiring my glorious carapace, that would be one thing, but this is just them staring at me like a starving person staring at a ham. It's uncomfortable, to say the least. Once we arrive back down on the ship, I lower myself into position, flopping on the deck once more. Mapke are still floating overhead, flinging insults at me, but I think I've had my fun. With a flicker of concentration, I allow my focus to lapse and the well to dissipate, the mana spreading out and losing its properties as it blends with the energy around it. In that moment, I feel the dark nature of the Forbidden One begin to recede, like oil on an ocean falling back from a pristine beach. Ah, I have returned to myself again. Which is the exact moment that Odin chooses to pounce. When are you going to learn that there are other ants protecting me at all times? Pinned to the ground by 3 of my babysitters, Odin only groans, thrashing weakly with his claws. I didn't sense their presence at all. He complains. Of course not. They've specifically evolved and mutated to make sure you can't. Gah, let me up. How about no? Sit there and think about how not to be weird. When we get back to see Sarah again, I want to see a marked decrease in your odd behavior. Ignoring the still bitterly struggling demon, I turn to Ranthoris. I suppose I should give a little thought to the actual purpose of our travel. So, How is trade? Profitable, she says contentedly. There aren't that many people on the Wandering Isle, but due to its nature, it does an outsized amount of trade. They were quite interested in your foodstuffs, and we've arranged some contracts with several distributors. Tea was popular, as was the furniture, oddly enough. They don't have ready access to wood, so they have to trade for it, and the prices of the colony outcompete what they get from elsewhere. Well, that's good news, I suppose. At least we didn't have to put up with the magpies pecking for nothing. She gives me an exasperated look. What do you mean, we put up with it? I put up with it. My traders put up with it. Every other member of the colony put up with it. You certainly didn't. How to explain the presence of Dark Anthony? How to explain that he was drawn irrevocably to the surface by the taunting of the winged weirdos? I'll try harder next time, I begrudgingly commit. See that you do, she nods. I mean I'll try, sure. I won't succeed, but I'll try. And now we only have one stop left. That's right, she agrees, we are headed to the Silver City. Capital of the Atrium Empire, and the largest, wealthiest city in the fourth stratum. Which means the largest and wealthiest in the world. She says that last part as if explaining the obvious to a child, which I find a little insulting. Look, it might be the wealthiest, but it won't be long until the most populous places in the stratum are the colony's nests. Iran looks thoughtful. That's true, I suppose. However, each individual ant has literally no purchasing power, as I understand it, so it won't be worth setting up markets there. Gah, she's not wrong, we don't even have currency. I still can't work out if this is a good or bad thing. So what's this Silver City supposed to be like? It's the most beautiful city in the world. Is that right? She nods emphatically. It is. You'll understand when you see it. Chapter 1209. Anthony on tour, the unforgettable sight. I suppose to some, it might be considered appealing sort of. Others, perhaps some would say, those with better taste would call it tacky. Overdone, gaudy, even. Then again no, I will not admit it. There's no tunnels. How can any place be considered the best without nice, wide tunnels? It can't, end of discussion. The roads do seem nice and spacious, though. Bah, who would ever want to dwell in a house covered in metal? Nobody, even if that metal was so soothing, and emitting such a glorious, ephemeral light. Damn it, I connect a mind bridge to Iran Thoris who is leaning against the railing next to me, looking smug. Well, she asks. It's nice. Nice, she asks, raising one scaled brow. Very nice. That's all she's gonna get out of me. Mount Atrium, heart of the Atrium Empire that bears its name, rises tall and imposing from the shimmering waters of the lake before us. From the waterline up, the great and glorious Silver City covers the slopes. And I do mean covers. There isn't a single square inch that hasn't been developed, all enfolded within 6 rings of mighty walls. That's not to say there aren't any green spaces, oh no, there are frustratingly luscious and attractive-looking parks all over the damn place. The rest of it is large, well-organized buildings connected by clean, wide streets. All of it, not the trees, obviously, is covered in what I'm told is soul silver. And it is absolutely stunning. Stupid city with its stupid shininess. Thinks it's all that. Well, it's not. Oh look, I think the clouds are going to part. We should get a good look at it now, Iran says, enthused. Good look at what? I grumble. They don't call them the Twin Cities for nothing. There, look, the upper reaches of the mountain have been shrouded by cloud and mist, but, for a moment, I catch a glimpse of something golden breaking through, a beam of light that stabs me right in the eye. Then, like magic, the clouds part, the mist fades, and I slump to the floor, defeated. There's a whole other city up the top. And it's covered in gold. Not just any gold, but gold that seems to radiate the warmth of the summer sun. Who would even do that? That metal must be worth a damned fortune, and you decided to coat your damned outhouse in it. Make it make sense. Regal palaces, imposing castles, a tower that rises like a mighty tree to pierce the heavens, easily several kilometers high. Each is a work of art, as if someone let Michelangelo off the chain for 1,000 years. Beautiful in design, delicate in construction, each line is aesthetically pleasing in context with those around it. Whoever made this city was determined to make it so damn pretty that nothing would ever come close, and they didn't give a damn what it cost. The Golden City, Iran tells me. Not that we are going to be welcome up there. That's for citizens only, wealthy citizens at that. You're looking at the most expensive real estate in the world. If I built a hut in the 6th, wouldn't that be worth more? Since it'd be more rare. Who could go there to enjoy it? In terms of comfortable living, this is the place to be. I'll take my life under the waters any day of the week, but it's not like I don't understand the appeal, she sighs. We Brathians love to collect and display our wealth, but building something this expensive would give us a fit. The colony would never do it either, I admit. Spending such an absurd amount of resources just to make things look nice. Impossible. It's too inefficient and doesn't provide any material benefit to the family. As you can imagine, the Karmado love this place, but for the most part, it's filled with the people of Atrium. Humans, by and large. Finally, we find the place where all the humans are. No giant magic lizard wizards, no second skin rock people, just humans. I mean, humans are scary enough by themselves, but at least I understand them a little better. We sail towards the Silver City, which only grows more beautiful the closer we get, stupid city, with the Legion continuing to shadow us on the way. The outer wall looms large as we draw closer, and I mean, really large. These people clearly don't muck around when it comes to walls. And naturally, they have imprinted unspeakably, eye-meltingly attractive artworks into the wall. Because of course they did. If Michelangeland is in this fleet, she is frothing at the mouth right now. Do we expect much trouble here? I ask, a little reluctantly. Not unless your people have been waging a secret war against the Atrium that I haven't heard about, she replies. If we have, it's just as much a surprise to me as it is to you. We should be fine. The Atrium can be a little bureaucratic, but they are a well-run and organized sort of place. We have all our documents sorted well in advance. We're the kind of merchants who are especially welcome here. Such optimistic words, of course, doom us before we even arrive. After Iran and the high-ranking Brathians go ashore to finalize arrangements, we quickly find out things have gone awry. They want further guarantees of safety after what happened at Greystone, Alevis tells me, after communicating with the shore party. Like what sort of guarantees? They want me to grind the edges off my mandibles or something. Financial compensation, Alevis says. If any damage is caused to the city by the colony, they are demanding the Brathian Island conglomerate agree to pay damages. Well, that doesn't seem unreasonable. We already agreed to such terms, they are now inflating the price. Oof. How much? If you repeat your actions at Greystone, the entire conglomerate will be bankrupt. Double oof. I'll be careful. You'd better be. Chapter 12:10. Anthony on tour, skitter the streets. They do understand that what happened at Greystone is due to the Golgari attempting to drop a mountain on my head, right? It's pretty simple. Don't try and kill thousands of my family members, and I won't cause any trouble. It seems straightforward to me. For whatever reason, the child emperor, or at least, the port officials who represent him, don't seem to have grasped such simple logic. So we come to the current situation. The authorities have graciously allowed 5,000 ants to enter the walls at a time, so we'll be able to get everyone rotated through over the course of our 3-day stay. I suspect they've been so generous in the hopes that it increases the likelihood of damages, or perhaps they're just confident in their security. I, however, am a little more restricted in my movements than the other ants. Right now, we are marching down a main thoroughfare, easily wide enough to fit me in 3 times across, surrounded on all sides by silver-armored guards and a team of mages watching the mana around me like mana hawks. It's the only way they were going to let you in, Marsban explains, apologetic. They can get a little precious when it comes to potential damage to the city. I mean, I suppose I can sympathize. If I lived inside a literal work of art, I wouldn't want strangers scuffing the place up either. It's fine, I sigh. I could have just stayed on the ship, but I'm guessing the colony demanded I be allowed on shore. Pretty much, he confirms. Not that Iran would have reached an agreement that didn't have you come ashore either. She feels like the colony is taken more seriously by people who see just how powerful a monster it has produced. A Tier 7 mythic is nothing to sneeze at, and adds legitimacy to your position as up-and-comers. Well, that's nice to hear, I suppose. As the Ant and Brathian column moves down the street, we get more than our fair share of attention as well. People poke their noses out of buildings, or come to the footpath to watch us go by. At least nobody seems afraid. They get a little uneasy when they catch sight of me coming, but they relax a bit when they clap eyes on the plethora of guards around me. As I said earlier, there really isn't any undeveloped land on this mountain, and the locals are not willing to let us dig up a park to make a nest, so our journey comes to an end when we reach a large warehouse district. Normally, I'd be offended at being asked to stay in a warehouse, but honestly, I can't this time. Even the warehouses are amazing. Damn this city. Even if we aren't allowed to dig, the colony is more than happy to pile into the dark and enclosed space. I'm just happy to be able to stretch my legs, so I wander into an unoccupied warehouse and settle onto the floor. Extending my legs out as far as they go, I give them a wiggle before I relax back, folding them up close to my body. That's the good stuff. Then I realize all the guards are still with me. Standing to attention, in post all around me, eyes straight forward and hands on their weapons. Even the mages are still here. I consider reaching out to them with a mind bridge, but decide against it. Instead, I slowly start to weave one and reach out looking for Iran or Marsban, finding the latter soon after. Hey, these guards are still here. Yes, and, how long are they going to be here? They aren't leaving you alone as long as you're on the shore, Anthony. This is what we had to agree to before you would be allowed in the city. Seriously, fine. Having multiple sword-crazy folk follow me around all the time was annoying enough, but there were only 2 of them. This is 1, 2, 3. 25, why? I mean, I know why. I blew up a mountain, that's why. Well, part of a mountain. An unimportant part, I should add. It's fine. This is the motherlode of wealth and the colony deserves to get their slice, so I can put up with an armed escort for 3 days. Not a problem. The only way this becomes an issue is if someone goes out of their way to provoke me, or the colony in general. Gah, what am I doing, thinking such thoughts so loudly? It's going to be fine. Nothing will happen. I need to distract myself from thinking so dangerously, quick. Hey, Smith Ant, Cobalt, can I get a word? The 2 carvers poke their heads into my warehouse soon after. What is it, eldest? I just wanted to get your thoughts on this place. What do you think of it so far? What are your impressions? The 2 ants ponder my words for a moment. There's a lot of wealth here, eldest. Even beyond the obvious, rare metal covering the buildings. I tried to take in as much detail as I could. The people here are well dressed, very well dressed. I don't think our fabrics are likely to sell much here. People clearly have access to a far superior product. I have to echo those sentiments, eldest, but in regards to metal, Smith Ant says. The metalwork used just on the buildings is staggering in its execution. I don't know how they did what they did. Forming such thin lines. The delineation being so clear and defined. Every street pole is formed using a method more advanced than our own. That's not a bad thing, it just means there's a lot we can learn. I assume you 2 saved up the majority of our supply of cores for this place. Of course, eldest. Then you should do your best to see how many learning materials you can bring back to the nest with us. This could be a golden opportunity to advance our knowledge by leaps and bounds. That's what we're hoping as well, eldest. I'll leave it to you. I'm going to try and keep my head down and not cause any trouble while we're here. You 2 will have to take the lead. We won't let you down.